Let's talk pricing. So I've got probably several videos that mention pricing. It's something that comes up often in my one-on-one consultations, and it actually just recently came up in a few different ways, not only between consultation clients, but also in the private group. I did a pretty significant brain dump in the private group, so check out the private group, check out the videos on YouTube. I'll probably go into more detail. If there's a specific strategy that you want to work out for your business, by all means, book a one-on-one. But here's an anecdote I want to share with you guys so you understand why I say what I say. I know what I'm talking about. So I reach out recently to a client who's been with me since like the beginning, literally one of the first people to be watching my YouTube videos. Before I even realized I was going to be doing any kind of consulting, I was just putting the content out there. They were there, finding it useful, giving me some support in the comments, ideas for new videos. And I felt like I started this journey when they started their meal prep journey, which was really cool because I got to see them grow their business from very humble beginnings, trying to figure everything out. I think they may have been cooking from home when they first started, but I get to see them transition as they grew because they were killing it. I got to see them grow into bigger kitchen, getting their software figured out, figuring out logistics, how they're going to do this, new menu design, all this stuff. One thing I kept talking to them about was pricing. Now, I hear this a lot. They felt pressured to keep their prices low because the other meal prep company in the area, they've got low prices. We've got to be comparable, yada, yada, yada. I've experienced it. I've seen it with all of my consulting clients, with local businesses when they come out the gate. Everybody wants to be the cheapest. Now, mind you, when we started off, we decided to be the most expensive in our area. It sounds counterintuitive, right? Everybody wants something for cheaper. If you're offering the same product, a great way to get people to try yours is to make yours at a lower, more competitive price. Bullshit. That's just being lazy. If your biggest value offer to me is the fact that you're cheaper, I can probably tell that you're a lazy business owner. You've got a lazy approach to your business model. What about your quality of service, your quality of product, the quality of ingredients that you're using, the skill level in your kitchen? That's how you retain people. Now, don't get me wrong. You want to be the cheapest in the area. Bless you. Good luck. It's going to be hard because you're going to have to be worrying about attrition because, like I said, your food and your service are probably going to suck. And since you have to worry more about attrition because you don't have the retention, you're probably going to have to spend more money on acquisition, which means marketing dollars. And since your margins are already so thin to begin with, it's going to be kind of tough. So in any case, I reach out. Hey man, how you guys doing? Haven't heard from you in a while. What's the update? Now, mind you, last time I spoke to them, they've got several hundred clients. They're doing thousands of meals a week. They are killing it. I'm half expecting him to be like, we've got 1,000 members a week in our sites. We're figuring out how we can get to 1,000 members a week. But unfortunately, he told me they had to shut doors. So I asked why. 2022, remember when fuel prices went up? We had that whole Bidenomics experiment where eggs were hitting all the headlines and everyone's talking about how expensive eggs are. Well, meal prep companies have to buy eggs and a lot of other ingredients that became pretty expensive. Even if the cost to manufacture the ingredient didn't go up, the cost to ship it to you sure did because of gas. So you'll see that trickle down. The farms have to pay more money for the fertilizer because now the fertilizer is being delivered on trucks that aren't consuming any less gas, and that gas is more expensive, so it hits you. Now, had they increased the pricing as I advised for a while, they probably would have been, well, we'll never know, but I'm assuming they would have been okay. But after a few months of these increased prices and decreased margins, they realized, yeah, we do have to increase our prices. And unfortunately, they had to do it in a hurry because they were coming to the realization that these costs aren't going down anytime soon. Unfortunately, that coincided with their slow season. Now, slow season, summer. That means that not only are your members going to be taking off and going on vacation with their kids who are out of school, Some of them who aren't going out of town are going to have the extra expense of summer camp for the kiddos. Someone's got to watch them all day, right? Make sure they don't burn the house down while mom and dad are at work. So even some of the people who are staying in town are probably going to look to trim back. And even though it doesn't make sense, because they're probably not buying food any cheaper, especially when the grocery markets are having to raise their prices, people still make illogical decisions. They look at that $16 at Chipotle as being less than that $150 bill that they're swiping every week for your meal prep company. And they're like, well, 16 is less than 150. I'm going to have to get rid of that 150. Not considering the fact that 16 several times a week times several weeks a month actually ends up being quite a bit more money. And that's just for that one meal. And if they're deciding to buy groceries and spend the extra time cooking and dealing with all that headache at home, the reality is the groceries aren't going as far as they used to because the buck isn't going as far as they used to. So again, it's probably not a logic, arithmetic-based decision that people are making, but that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with the masses. So they had to also raise their prices not only drastically and quickly with very little, almost no warning, but they also had to do it across the board, all of their members. They weren't able to grandfather people in because they had already been running several months waiting to raise the prices. And by the time they had to pull the trigger, like I said, the timing was just bad all over and they had to make a more drastic change than they should have had to make. And unfortunately, they decided they're burning through savings and they had to close the doors. Now, these are very intelligent, hardworking, diligent, resourceful people who I think have the tenacity to knock it out of the park if they decide to do a 2.0 version of their meal prep company. But they decided to call it quits. And I know, the meal prep companies in the area, they're cheap. They're competing on price. Well, if you're competing on price, you're lazy. If you're competing against lazy people, great. Just beat them with better service. So your retention is going to be better. And when people get tired of eating this shitty food that's cheaper from the company who also probably can't afford to invest in good customer service, they're going to eventually come to you and realize you get what you pay for. There's going to be some people who their most important thing is cheap food. Maybe that's not your demographic. Rolls-Royce doesn't care when Toyota does a President's Day sale because they're not competing on price. They're competing on quality. Now, mind you, we set off with the intention to be the most expensive meal prep in our area. We recognized that there was a need for it. Everyone's competing at the bottom. It was crowded. Nobody's competing at the top. We specifically went after with full intentions to be the most expensive in the area. We raised our price every single year for the first 5 years. And then on top of that, we also threw on a $4 per meal premium charge, and we charged for delivery. If you don't like that, if it's too much for you, Toyota's across the street. Good luck. President's Day sale's coming up. But if you want the best food, you want the best service, you want the best ingredients going into your food, you want a meal that's going to hit your table, and at lunch, at your desk, you feel like you're eating at a 5-star restaurant. Hi, my name's Casey. Welcome. I've got better ingredients. I've got higher quality level of staff in my kitchen with more skill than the other guys. I've got customer service agents who I can pay handsomely, who love their job, they work in a great environment, and it's all because I decided to not compete on price. There was a company who came out of the woodwork, and I know the local meal prep companies were all just like, how are these guys able to afford to have such cheap food? Yeah, the food's small portions and the food's garbage. They send out broccoli that's not even cooked. The customer service is garbage. But these guys are growing. They're opening up more retail locations with all these refrigerators and more staff. That's a lot of overhead. How are they making it with these margins? Like, I don't understand it. I know even the cheapest chicken, they can't be making money at these prices. Well, they weren't. They had a $15 million investment that we didn't know about. So they were actually operating in the red. If I was competing with them, I would have been running my business into the ground quickly. Real quick, if you're making $1 per meal profit and I charge $1 more than you, I'm making $2 per meal. I'm not just making an extra $1, I'm making twice as much as you. So I need half the clients you do. I have more money for investing in marketing. I can grow faster than you because I'm not competing on price. Check out the YouTube, check out the website, check out the private group, book a one-on-one. Good luck, Godspeed.